Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about 8 actors I think that can become the next Wolverine in the MCU. These are 8 actors I think have either the look or have the performance enough and the acting skills enough to bring the depth to the character of Wolverine in the coming MCU. The character Wolverine in past X-Men movies has been played by obviously Hugh Jackman, which is of course one of the best representations of Wolverine, even though it's not the most comic accurate when it comes to his height in the comics, which is really 5'3", and Hugh Jackman is about 6'1", 6'2". So, for the next upcoming MCU, will we see a more comic depiction of Wolverine from the comics, or will we see again a kind of iteration from Hugh Jackman into the MCU? For me personally, I wouldn't mind seeing a comic depiction of Wolverine into the MCU, since we've already seen what it's like to have someone like Hugh Jackman fit the role. But because we've seen someone like Hugh Jackman in it, it shows that it could both work really well, either if he's 6'3" or even if he's 5'3". I think we could definitely see how different heights can make a difference in the film. 5'3", a new Wolverine could be something really interesting and something different from the other MCU characters. At number 8, I have Taron Edgerton, who has played in The Kingsman and Rocketman, and we've seen him grow even more as an actor over time. And he's someone who I think can play obviously the more comic depiction of Wolverine if they wanted to go in that direction, as he is on the shorter side and can kind of pull off maybe the 5'3" look if they really wanted to. He's an actor who has shown how great he can be, especially in the movie Rocketman. He has the very comedic and charismatic attitude from The Kingsman, and he could bring that into playing Wolverine. Even though he's more of a serious character, I think he can also pull that off, as we've seen the range he can really play in the movie like The Rocketman. Has a lot of upside, and he's also been heavily influenced by Hugh Jackman, as they've obviously talked about him maybe playing the character for the MCU in the future. Number 2, I have Scott Eastwood, the son obviously to Clint Eastwood. I think he has a lot of the charisma and kind of bad boy energy that Wolverine kind of infuses in the world of the comics and in the MCU. Kind of always has that he's on the edge type of character. I think Scott Eastwood is an excellent choice because he's also he looks very similar to Wolverine in certain aspects, and he kind of has a little bit of that Hugh Jackman look as well. In a lot of the movies, he's played kind of like the bad boy type of character, which could be reminiscent of Wolverine. And I think a movie that really shows his acting skills is in Wrath of Man, the Guy Ritchie movie that came out this year, and he also played the villain in that film. So you can obviously bring in kind of the darker side of Wolverine if they have to, and bring out the killing instinct of someone like Wolverine from Scott Eastwood. Number 3, I have an actor called Penn Badgley. He's one of the picks that's maybe not as well known to play Wolverine, but I have Penn Badgley, the star of the popular Netflix series You, himself to be a more popular actor nowadays because of that role. I know he played in Gossip Girl before then, but him as Wolverine, I think he kind of has a little bit of the look, but is also because he has a little bit more of the sinister side of Wolverine. If they wanted to play that part up, I think he'll be really good in those scenes, in those darker scenes, and bring that type of emotion and killing emotion like Wolverine does in the comics, bringing maybe more of the 80s and 90s type of stuff Wolverine. He's one of the more outcast picks in terms of being the next Wolverine. Number 4, I have Daniel Radcliffe, obviously known as Harry Potter from the Harry Potter movie series, but this is one of the more popular in terms of notability when it comes to the actor to play the next Wolverine. Even though he's played such a notable character like Harry Potter, I think he has a lot of it is because of the looks that he has to play the Wolverine character. He's around the same height of being more comic depiction of Wolverine at 5'3", but I think he can bring kind of a more youthful energy if they really wanted to go with Daniel Radcliffe as well. He hasn't really been in a lot of bigger films since Harry Potter. He's been really good in a movie like Swiss Army Man of recent years, so he can definitely play a little bit maybe more to like an edgy kind of Wolverine. It'll just be a little bit harder since we all saw him as Harry Potter, but I think a lot of people have shown images of what he would be like as Wolverine, and it's mainly because of the look that I put him on this list. Now, as I've broken up kind of the Wolverine actors into 2 different categories, in the younger side and maybe the older side of Wolverine, At number one, when it comes to the older side of Wolverine, I have someone like Joel Edgerton, who I think can really bring out the dark side of Wolverine, because he's been in a lot of great roles like in The Gift and It Comes at Night. He's played kind of these kind of looming, darker characters in the film. He's a really underrated actor. I feel like he's been in Warrior with Tom Hardy, which is I thought would be another great pick for Wolverine, but he's already Venom. But regardless, I think Joel Edgerton has showcased his acting ability throughout the years. He's in a lot of indie films lately, but I think he could definitely pull off someone like Wolverine, and he has kind of a little bit more of the look and the scruffiness of someone like Wolverine. Number two, in the older side of Wolverine, I have Travis Fimmel, mainly known as Ragnar Lothbrok from the series Vikings. That series, he just plays kind of more of a savage Viking, but also with some intelligence and really charismatic acting from Travis Fimmel. Great actor, as seen in that series. He definitely has a lot of range and playing kind of the viciousness of that character, similar to Wolverine. Also bring the depth as he takes care of his family and the family relationships within that series. Play the whole range of Wolverine, I believe. And he has kind of a ragged look and kind of like you don't want to mess with him attitude, which is very similar to Wolverine and Ragnar Lothbrok. Number three, I have Charlie Hunnam, recently known because of the series Sons of Anarchy. Even though I haven't seen this series, the movie that mainly took me by surprise for him was in the most recent The Wrath of Men movie with Guy Ritchie. In this role, he shows kind of the smoothness, charisma that I think could pull off a really good Wolverine. He can pull off kind of the smoothness and the savageness seen in that movie when he shows up at that room with kind of the other meth heads and drug addicts. Really great actor, and he's proven himself and has a lot of the looks needed to be the next Wolverine in the MCU. The last slot I have to play the next Wolverine is Jamie Dornan, who has recently shown he's not just a guy for 50 Shades of Grey, but can actually act. In a movie called Belfast, which came out this year, I recently saw. Just a really great actor in that film and showcases how good of an actor he can be at playing the dramatic role. I think he has a look of like a young Hugh Jackman to continue the legacy of Hugh Jackman if they want to go kind of in the 6 feet plus route of bringing in that type of Wolverine character. Guys, that was my top 8 choices for the next Wolverine actor. Let me know what you guys thought of my choices. Who do you agree with, who you disagree with? What are some of your choices when it comes to playing the next Wolverine in the MCU? As always, you guys, have a good one.